everyone. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. So, how was your day so far?
Pretty eventful, but
Wonderful,
very nice. It's very nice.
wonderful, wonderful. So, your new album Sirin is out today. So, would you like to tell me a bit on the songwriting and the production that goes behind this new album?
Well, what can I even say about it? I've been writing it for a while, but with very long pauses in between. I think so. I usually say that I've been working on it for 3 years, and that's true. But I think the oldest song was written as long ago as 2020, I remember. Actually, the single that's out today, I wrote this one in lockdown in 2020 while I was in Russia. Um, yeah, I usually write the same way. I write myself with just a guitar, and then I sort of combine the efforts with my two producers, Vlad Avi and Grigory Losenkov, who helped me with the arrangements and, just the general sort of kind of the direction of it. They're both really great professionals and very talented. So it's kind of a dream team. We worked together on Sleepwalking, and both of them worked with Iamthemorning before. So I think I found my gang. Um, yeah, so halfway through the work, of course, the war started. So the entire theme of the album sort of shifted dramatically. Um, yeah, but mm, I'm pretty happy with it because I think I grew in the meantime as an artist. So, which is a natural process as an artist. If you keep working, you always get better, right? If you don't just use the same scenario for every album. If you want to reinvent yourself with every release, then you end up growing as as an artist. So I think this is kind of what happened with this one, and I'm happy to say I did my best.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I know this is a concept album, so would you like to tell me a bit of the storyline behind this concept?
Well, it is a concept album. It's called Sirin, and Sirin is like an ancient Slavic mythological creature, a harbinger of death and misfortune, and a bringer of a bad luck. It's half woman, half bird that sings really beautifully and lures people to their death into like the swamps and the forests. There's ambiguity about her, which is what I liked because the album is very diverse in mood. Um, and she's the only mythological creature that can travel between the worlds of like living and the dead and the place in between that the Slavic mythology has. So it kind of felt appropriate, because she sort of laments for humankind and for the mistakes of humankind or vices. And considering the state of the world and just the general shit show that we created on this planet, I thought it was pretty relevant to the modern days. Um, it's yeah, I I'd classify the album as an anti-war album, really, because even though I'm trying to be subtle about you know these things, because I always wanted to avoid descending into the trivial, banal world of, current politics and stuff like that. I always thought that artists should be these sort of ethereal creatures that live in dreams and, you know, essentially, I always used art as a way of escaping the reality because the reality was always shit. But, when the invasion happened, I realized that I can't really do this anymore. But I utilized all of my means as an artist and a writer to make it as subtle as possible. So there's still it's poetical, it's metaphorical. A lot of these things are very convoluted within the lyrics, so people that don't know probably wouldn't know. Um, so yeah, but the majority of lyrics is about this, and I wrote a good chunk of the album. I rewrote a lot after the invasion started because I just felt that I was doing something irrelevant writing about my feelings. So I kind of changed it a little bit. Yeah, and there is a lot of storytelling bits in the album because most of my inspiration comes from literature and lore and myths and legends, and I travel a lot and I sort of find these things everywhere. And I do like writing, like coming up with stories. So I do have a few songs that are kind of like short stories.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write them down eventually. Yeah, all of this is very. I would want to think that it's a little bit like reading a book of fairy tales, but like the Grimm, Brothers Grimm, the ones that are like so sad, like little matchbook girl, the one that's about like a tiny girl that dies in the end.
Yeah.
That kind of vibe.
Wonderful. And speaking on the album, 10 mind-blowing songs, beautifully written. Your voice is amazing, and the entire musicianship that goes along with your vocals is totally outstanding. A great album from you this today. So I want to thank you so much for putting up this awesome album. And as a creator, how do you feel about the outcome of this new album?
Um, the outcome, you mean the reception?
Yes, yes. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I ran the Kickstarter to fund it. Something that I didn't see coming, like the way that it turned out being so successful. I have to say it was a really big confidence boost. Because in the world where people are driven by like getting likes and comments and reactions under their posts that basically mean nothing, having something tangible like this in response to your like album creation, because it was a big amount of money, and which I never expected I will even get. I was making plans of what do I do if I don't get half of that in a month. So yeah, that was a really big sign for me that people are actually kind of on my side, that they're excited about the new music. And big chunk of the contributors to my Kickstarter came from my Patreon, which is kind of funny because these people kind of heard most of the material that I was working on because I was sharing it as I went. And even though they contributed more than anybody, because I think they saw how hard I was working all these years. And that was so gratifying. And I just felt so lucky and so grateful to be surrounded by this community of people that are so supportive. And it's not just the financial support, it's also how much encouragement I'm getting from like online community, and people are just like cheering me on. It's very encouraging, and it just makes me want to work more. Sometimes sometimes it has the opposite effect. You know how Fish faced this situation a few months ago when his online community was exceptionally sort of bad towards him because of the people that felt very entitled. So I suppose it can go the other way if you're very famous. So in situations like that, I'm just very happy that I'm not very famous. My community is so much smaller, so it's easy to just block people you don't like.
It's beautiful. Wonderful. And a month back, you put up the video for Pygmalion, a wonderful song and an amazing video that goes behind this song. So, would you like to tell me a bit on the making of this video?
Yeah, that was a really fun thing to do. For people that don't know, it's a video about me being put in a grave, so that was very entertaining. But it was made by my really good friends. They're called Cinebuds. It's a music video production company from Netherlands that was formed by guys from the band called Blackbriar.
Yeah.
And we met a few months before that because they invited me to sing on one of their singles and flew me out to Netherlands for a music video shoot. So we really hit it off and we became really good friends. So they sort of agreed to make music videos for me for this album. I'm going back there in a couple of weeks to make another one, and I'm very excited about it.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was just the three of them and me, and I stayed for a couple of days after I sang shows with them in Netherlands, and we just went to a local forest and shot this like incredibly macabre, but I thought very sort of appropriate video. Another one was out today, actually. Swan Song. It's the latest one. That's very fresh. That one we just made like a couple of weeks ago.
Mhm.
Everything, all of these things are done quite quickly this time around without much preparation, with a lot of sort of impulse,
Mhm.
creative decisions. And I really enjoy the process when you get together with people that you like and you together create something fun. And it's my favorite type of friendship, really, when you have art as an outcome of it. Yeah.
Mhm. Perfect. And speaking on the touring, are you having some big plans for the year?
Um, Not for this year, that's for sure. Unfortunately, this year is going to be entirely occupied by the fulfillment of the aforementioned Kickstarter campaign. But I'm hoping, with any luck, to put a live band together and go on tour next year. I've sort of tested the waters a little bit, and I do have some options. So if all of that is going to work out, I'm going to be very, very excited because this is what I want most, is to take this album and go touring with it and play these songs live, because I think it would be really fun, especially with the opportunities I might potentially have. If those tours would happen, that would be super cool. So vague plans for the future, but not for this year.
Got it, got it. Perfect. And in 2020, you released your debut Sleepwalking and then followed with Disillusioned EP and now with Sirin. So how has this journey of music been for you so far?
um, Very liberating and exceptionally healthy. I think it's a very good thing for any band member to just do solo work, you know? Because I really love Iamthemorning, and it's always been my baby, and it's always been my top priority. But because it's a project that belongs to both me and the piano player Gleb, sometimes our priorities or just life plans don't align. So Sleepwalking, I wasn't even intending to make an album. I was just writing music because I didn't want to just sit waiting while Gleb was busy, for instance, because I always have this thing I always need to write. So I was just writing, and then I realized, well, actually, why don't I just release this on my own and then write more when the time comes for In the Morning, which is kind of what happened. Yeah, I discovered a lot of things about myself, and starting Patreon really helped also, because it was a very long journey for me from being a person who just lives to facilitate other people's talents and creative aspirations to becoming an artist of my own. I stopped seeing myself as an additional sort of accessory to something, because as a vocalist, I'm not always self-sufficient. I taught myself how to play guitar well enough to start writing songs,
Mhm.
because it's important for me that I write my own songs. I would never release other people's material under my own name. Um, so so it was important that all of the song structures and like songs and lyrics, everything is written by myself. And it took time, but I'm happy to report that I think I'm getting somewhere.
And do you feel like you're living the dream or you feel there is a lot of things to accomplish?
Well, there's always a lot of things to accomplish, but that doesn't mean that I'm not living the dream. You know, it depends whose dream it is. It definitely could be a dream from like when I was 15. I think that would classify as a dream. Yeah, I moved to England, and that was a very smart decision, considering that that happened in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. But I was one step ahead of everybody, considering the war started very shortly afterwards. Yeah, and I'm involved with so many beautiful music projects, and I'm working with so many incredibly talented people, and it's just such a blessing to be able to work with all of them and spend time with them, you know. So yeah, there's plenty to accomplish, but it's pretty dreamy.
Yeah. And is music is something that you do full time or is there something else that you do as well?
Well, I actually have a full-time job, which I'm surprised that they have not fired me yet. don't fire me in case you're reading this. I don't think they will. I think they like me. But yeah, unfortunately, even with my Patreon, surviving in England with just music income is impossible. So I need to keep the day job, but also I really love the company I work for. It's kind of a boring-ish office job, which I do remotely. But when the war started, the company acted incredibly. They evacuated 6 offices in Ukraine overnight. They relocated everybody from Russia because all decent people wanted to leave the country. Um, and they've always been just very supportive of my career outside of the day job. So they always give me all of the flexibility. So it's very nice to have a backup if things go very wrong and people all of a sudden stop liking what I do and leave all at once. But yeah, I wish I could be a full-time musician, but I think it's quite liberating to have some wiggle space in terms of your finances, because if you only rely on music to, sustain your life, it can be very taxing because it's essentially it becomes a job, and not all people love their jobs.
So true. So true. So I know there has been a lot of great moments over the years, but is there something special that you want to share with me today?
From which period of time?
Since you started making your solo career.
Oh, well, I mean, Sirin is probably a highlight considering that it's out today, so it's pretty fresh for me. Um, there are a lot of fun things that I did. I sang on the Jordan Rudess album. I collaborated with a lot of incredible people. I had a lot of exceptional guests on my albums, and
Mm.
I'm very proud of duets on Siren with Jim Gray from Caligula's Horse and with Mick Moss from Antimatter. I discovered a few years ago that one of my passions is writing for other people to sing, like duets. That's why I started a project in Switzerland with Anna Murphy. It's called Mare, because I realized how exceptionally great it is to be writing and singing with other people. I've never had a chance to, because I never really had friends that did music, and I grew up alone, and I'm always on my own just working. So using this as an excuse to kind of build a connection with other musicians and do something creative, that was really great. My God, I sound like such a lonely and sad person.
So you left Russia and you're in UK now. So have you ever felt that you would like to go back to Russia someday?
Well, I mean, it would be cool to visit if the president dies and all of his government dies and nice people will come to power. But unfortunately, I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon. And if I go back now, there's a really good chance that I'm gonna go straight to jail for all of the activism and fundraising for Ukraine that I did, and even for this album, or for being queer. It's currently illegal in Russia to be gay, so that's fun. Um, yeah, I really miss it, but I miss the version of like 2019 while all of my friends were still there and the war wasn't happening and we weren't bombing our neighbors. That was great. St. Petersburg is an incredible place and I miss it every day, but not under current circumstances, unfortunately.
Totally get it. Totally. And what would be some of your upcoming plans?
Well, printing vinyl.
Yeah.
I do need to make a lot of things happen this year for the Kickstarter. So I'm going to be working with a lot of factories, manufacturing all of the things that I concocted in my brain, the CDs and the vinyl and all of the apparel, all of the art prints, all of that stuff. But we're actually going to Glasgow in like 5 days to play with Iamthemorning with Steve Rothery, which is always a really fun experience. But other than that, I'm just working on this album and making sure that I deliver what I promised. And it's also my last year before I get UK passport.
Yeah.
So I can't travel too much because there is a limit to the amount of days I can spend outside of the country.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna sit and work and have a great time, I suppose. Maybe I really want to start writing again, but I need to be in my sort of manager hat right now. Manager and merch manufacturer and post officer, I suppose. And that doesn't really work very well with trying to be creative. So maybe I'll try, but we'll see how it goes.
Beautiful, beautiful. And since today is the release of Sirin, do you have any special plans for the evening?
I'm gonna drink cocktails with my cat and answer a lot of emails.
That's wonderful. And have you planned for any release day party probably over the weekend?
You know, I mean, I'm going to London tomorrow to see Caligula's horse. So I suppose I'll celebrate a little bit there. I'll meet Jim. We'll have a drink to Siren. So that's gonna be great. But I really don't. I live in a small town and I don't really have a big community over here. So I never really get opportunities. Like in England, if you want to make a party, you need to warn people 3 months ahead,
Yeah.
which I didn't do because all of my planning capacity unfortunately goes towards my music and my work. And there's none left for my like just regular life. So everything I do on my own most of the time. I go to theaters alone, I go to gigs alone, but that's because mostly my friends are on stage. But now I have a cat, so I will celebrate with a cat.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And finally, any message that you have for the fans around the world?
Fans, oh, join my Patreon. It's really fun. It's definitely not a cult. But no, seriously, I just want to say thank you to everybody because none of this in my life would be even possible without, listeners. Because I only managed to move to England from Russia because I opened my Patreon and people joined. And even people outside of Patreon have been this incredible, incredible community of wonderful souls and beautiful people that always supported me in everything. And I feel incredibly lucky that the world is so full with kind and nice people. So I hope everybody's doing very well, and I hope everybody's gonna enjoy Siren. And if they feel a bit sad and want company, I hope Siren's gonna be a good company for them.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you so much for giving me today this wonderful opportunity to have you on this interview. And thank you so much for putting up this awesome album, Sirin, today. Like I said earlier, a fantastic album, and your vocals are mind-blowing. Thanks for the awesomeness, and I wish you all the best and hoping to see someday you on the road.
Thank you. It's very kind, and thank you for your time and for all of the nice questions. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you like the album.
Thank you so much, and you have a great evening out there and take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye.